All right, we are back again with the Pat Stedman podcast interview series. It's been a minute, took a little holiday break, and we are here with President Dream, Anthony Dream Johnson, the Supreme Allied Commander, Serene Leader, and President of the Manosphere and CEO of 21 Convention, 21 Studios, and the Make Women Great Again Conference 22 Convention, 21 Convention, 21 Patriarchs, and I'm sure there's more coming down the line with this guy. It's a pleasure to have you on, Anthony.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure to be here. Really appreciate it. Big fan of, not only you, but your newsletter, the content you make on Twitter, and all that kind of stuff. I appreciate you speaking at my conventions too now multiple times over. It means a lot to me.
It's absolutely been my pleasure doing that. And you guys, I'm going to link in here some of the speeches from 21 Convention. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen them before, but maybe some of you guys missed it. And yeah, I've been to 221 summits, and they've been really 321 summits. Oh my God. Yeah. 321.
Yeah.
And it is the event to go to, and we'll definitely be talking about that. And I've always appreciated the platform. But this is an exciting interview for me because usually, as president, you're the one who's kind of hosting these things for other people, sorting out all the different kind of factionalities and talking about what's been going on in the Manosphere and kind of getting people's takes on it. I like how it's a little bit reversed right now. People get to see a little bit about you rather than you sort of holding up a mirror to other people. So before we get talking about a lot of the sort of current Manosphere politics, because there's some really interesting stuff in there that, I don't think a lot of the audience is fully had their awareness about. Because, I'm only in one specific corner of the sort of broader Manosphere.
And you have a lot of enemies too that try to quarantine you off. Rollo Tomasi Rollery being one of many, but at the top of that totem pole. And that in a way, he's tried to isolate you for years, and I don't like that. I've done the opposite, obviously, trying to expand the reach of people that can view your content.
Yeah, and I think in large part due to success and help of people like yourself, I really don't think he's succeeded. I think if anything, I don't want to be silly about this. Obviously, Rollo has a big platform and he has influence, but I do feel like also to a certain extent he's siloed in in a certain corner of it. And I think he's kind of learned like where his safe space is, and where not to. You step out, you step in certain neighborhoods, he gets punched in the face, so he doesn't really go out there anymore. But I want like the audience to hear a little bit about your journey. So, you started the first 21 convention when you were 17 years old. Is that correct?
Yeah, I was in my first summer semester of college. I was a few weeks out of high school, probably 6 weeks or something like that. And I announced basically the first 21 convention meetup. It was actually called an under 21 meetup.
Yeah.
The convention came right after that within a matter of like 2 or 3 days. Someone said, "Oh, you should do a convention, like an under 21 convention." And that's how the name eventually evolved into what we see today with 21 convention, 22 convention, all that kind of stuff. But I was very young. I turned 18 soon after that, so it wasn't like I was, early 17, but yeah, I was a teenager. I was, meeting with hotel managers and scouting locations and inviting speakers. The first, building blocks of what became 21 Studios today at 17 years old. And I was so young that I walked into these hotels and I tried to meet with management and stuff, and they looked at me like I was a lost kid. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing here? Like, what do you want? I'm like, yeah, I want to do a conference. I want this room. Da 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 da. And I didn't have a fucking clue what I was doing. And they're looking at me like this is some, I'm 17 years old. I look 17. So it was a very novel thing to do at that age. But I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I stuck to it for almost 17 years now.
I mean, you see a lot of stuff on Twitter, like Money Twitter, people talking about entrepreneurship. I mean, that is really like, you do not see that very often. Somebody, especially, and this isn't like some online business even at 17 years old where you don't have to necessarily show your face. I mean, to have like, it's very impressive, Anthony. It's very impressive. And
thanks.
it's a real testament because it's still going, and it's still the premier one in the world. I mean, a lot of people have done knockoffs, but never had the legacy or the success. It's always been, if they have like a one-off, then it collapses next year.
Yep. There's been some good ones too that even those collapsed. Real Man Conference, for example, RMC in Europe, that went for 2 years, I think, total, 2008 and 2010. The first one was huge. Zamparion spoke at that, Johnny Saporno, a lot of guys you would even see today, you'd still recognize. Maybe Alan Roger Curry too. I don't remember. That had 500 people at it. That was in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. And I didn't go to that. But Richard Larina, he spoke at it too, and he promoted it.
Gambler.
And yeah, gambler, yeah. And dude, 500 people at an event is huge. There's never been a Manosphere related event that I'm aware of ever that big. But then they only had it one more time in 2010 in Germany. And then the founder, Pim Putter, I think is his name, he's decided not to keep doing it anymore. It's hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's been a lot of knockoffs here and there. Other events like that were not, as far as I know, they were not inspired by mine. But they just fall apart for different reasons. Some of them implode. They're just fraudulent from day one. It's a money grab. It's a cash grab. Kind of like money Twitter. Money Twitter is like some of the gayest shit on the internet. all these 19-year-old millionaires, right, making money from their mom's basement. Meanwhile, they've never done or accomplished or built anything in their entire life. And you made a good point too. Like, my business has always been very real. Kind of this hybrid of like online business, but also brick and mortar. It has a real brick and mortar component that's very serious, like once a year or twice a year or whatever. And that's where we farm and we kind of build all the content for the next, year or so on the internet. But that requires putting your face out there, meeting hotel managers, signing like very serious contracts with a lot of money on the table and a lot of consequences if you don't, follow through with that. A lot of flights, a lot of logistics, a lot of hotels, security, staff, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, this money Twitter bullshit. Yeah, it's sick. It always cracks me up when they talk about how being an entrepreneur is gonna change your whole life and it's gonna get you financial freedom and all this fucking bullshit. Being an entrepreneur is fucking hard.
Yeah.
You do get some freedom from it. Like you're your own boss. You write your own checks. More or less, no one can really tell you what to do without a gun or a gavel in a courtroom. But there's an enormous amount of responsibility with it. It's maximum responsibility. You are at the totem pole of a small business, however big it is for you, or a larger business, and everything tracks back to you. The buck stops with you.
Yeah.
So it's an enormous amount of responsibility that the average guy, if you haven't done it, is just not familiar with. And it's fucking hard. I love Elon Musk's quote, entrepreneurship is like eating glass. It is. It's fucking hard. And people hate you, and you're the bad guy, and you got to be there first and you leave last. And like, yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Well, I mean, obviously there's great upside with being an entrepreneur, that you can, to a certain extent, determine how much money you make. It is, as you say, I mean, I think that there's a certain category of people who want to become an entrepreneur because it's easy. You start your own business, you can make all this money, you don't have to work a 9 to 5. It's like, yeah, you don't work a 9 to 5, you work like an 8 to 8 every.
No, you work 12 to 12. You work 12 in the morning till 12 midnight the next day. You work 24 hours a day sometimes.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's like, yeah, you can take some time off, and you can decide when you take time off, but in practice, you're not taking time off. In practice, it's really, you have to make a really concentrated effort to give yourself any balance. And it is really like an around the clock thing. And I think, I mean, I'm gonna say it, but I think it's a very masculine thing to do.
Yes.
To start a business, because guys who are drawn to that, what they're drawn towards is not even about the money. It's about being free.
Yes.
And it's not like being free in terms of not having to work. It's being free from other people telling you and dictating, and you have to go and you have to fend for yourself. And there's a pressure to that if you're a man who has more of like a slave mindset, not a very masculine guy, it's very, very unappealing. I'm not
actually go ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't want to I'm not saying that anybody who has like a non-entrepreneurial job is a slave. That's not the point, what I'm trying to say with the statement.
Agreed.
Clarify that. But there's a certain category of guys who, they have the wrong impression of what entrepreneurship is. And a lot of them, you know, there's a lot of guys in this world who really do just want to show up on somebody else's clock and collect a paycheck. And I'm not saying there's anything necessarily wrong with that. It just depends on what your priorities are in
Yeah.
life.
I love being an entrepreneur, and I actually put out an interview today of my own from the convention, my 21 report, and I talk about this exact thing: how entrepreneurship is highly masculine, and that doesn't mean every man, if you want to be a real man, has to go be an entrepreneur. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Do whatever your job is. Like Bobby Dino, for example, someone I know from the Manosphere, spoke at our event 2019. He kind of left a lot of the online world. He still has an active Twitter, but now he's working in the trade, some sort of construction or welding or something like that.
Yeah.
He's making really good money.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? Fuck all this internet bullshit. Fuck ebooks. Fuck this. Fuck that. I'm going to go out in the world and bust my ass and do this. And he's having a blast doing it. And that's totally fine. I have zero problem with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very masculine. And what I mentioned in my interview is that this is a huge reason why you don't see a lot of female CEOs and female entrepreneurs. The entire category of work of being an entrepreneur, the enormous responsibility, maximum responsibility. Women have difficulty even with basic, like taking responsibility. Being an entrepreneur is the complete opposite of that. So that's why the activity itself of being an entrepreneur, it weeds out women, just by our nature. So yeah, it's very. I've loved that element of it though. That it's been a really good journey for me as a man to be able to take that since 17, to continually evolve and grow through entrepreneurship, and the enormous or consistent challenges it throws at your face. Sometimes, you know, a softball, sometimes a curveball, sometimes fucking fastball right at your head. You know, going 1,000 miles an hour. It's tough, man. It's been a battle being an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is war. Business is war in a way.
It is. I think as a man, nothing really shows you yourself quite like it. I mean, except for war itself. Like business is the closest you get to war in peacetime. And you know, honestly, I think increasingly, if you look at, we won't have to go into it, but if you look at like geopolitics, it's increasingly connected because it is like business, financial, and that's all tied up. Like kinetic is small. It's like one portion of hybrid warfare today. It's all alpha guys competing for power at the end of the day.
Well, you have these huge, like, you know, globo homo multinational corporations, which are heavily influencing politics everywhere. But even small businesses, I would see the COVID stuff from a couple years ago until very recently, all these lockdowns, these decimated small businesses. And I think that was kind of a joint effort by both governments to squash the middle class, but also multinational, these huge corporations that just wanted to like stomp on these people. So Walmart would stay open and local mom and pops would go out of business because they're forced to close by the government. So the government, as a monopoly on violence, is weaponized against small businesses. And that's terrible. I hate that with a passion. It's really gay.
It's pretty crazy to look back on all of it. And I mean, and you know, and that's just the beginning of their plans with all this stuff. But anyway, I want to keep the focus onto you and your. I kind of mentioned that. What made you decide to want to do an under 21 convention? Why did you want to get into this space? Because back when you got into it, I mean, this was, I guess I could do some. How many years has it been now? Has it been like 11, 12 years since this? No, what am I talking about? Way longer.
Way longer than that. Yeah, I started the convention back in the Bush administration. That's how fucking far this goes back, man. I found the Manosphere, for example, in 2005.
2005,
Yeah, long time. That's, I don't know how many fucking years ago, over 17 years ago. I started the convention then in the summer of 2006, so less than a year later. One of the big points, though, before I forget, so we're talking about me being an entrepreneur, starting a business, starting a convention. I did not intend to start a business. This was not, my father was always an entrepreneur, so some of this, you know, eventually maybe came from that. That wouldn't surprise me on a kind of broader scale of life or bird's eye view of my life. But I didn't start the convention to be a business. It was a hobby project. It wasn't even legally a business in terms of being incorporated as an LLC until 2010. From 2006 to January 2010, so like 3.5, 4 years, it wasn't a business. It was a sole proprietorship. And basically it was that's like a term for just running a business kind of organically as a one-man shop. So it wasn't intended to be a business, and it slowly morphed into one over time. And it really started as like a hobby project. Like as a kid, we would do like these camping trips, for example, that were kind of similar in a way. You know, I'd be like 14, 15, 16 with my friends, and we want to go camping on an island. We'd get together like 20 people, girls and guys both, and we go camping for a couple days. This to me was not too dissimilar from that. I was a little bit older at that point. I just got to college. Obviously, these were not really my friends I was doing an event with. This wasn't a camping trip, it was a conference. But that's kind of in my head as a teenager how it was being organized. Like, oh, I'm at college. Let me just organize this conference. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm confident enough that I can figure it out and, you know, do all that. But your question was why I started it. And that's really simple, as I wanted to meet other guys from the PUA community, from the seduction community, from that wing of the Manosphere when I was young, because I wanted to get better. I had met enough guys locally through Top Layer. It was like one of the best layers in the country, as it was told by people who visited it. It was awesome. The guy who ran it, this guy Zuzu, was just fucking totally on top of it for years and years. And we would have meetups that have like sometimes 30, 40 guys. We'd do like an approach-a-thon where we'd buddy up with somebody and we'd go out and just like, you know, harass women basically in the streets, just approach them. I was very young, but this is like a, you know, we do this at like malls or like City Walk, these kind of huge tourist venues from like Universal and Disney and stuff. And we just go talk to women for like 2 hours. And I found that really beneficial for getting better. I was still like totally very like much of a newbie at that point, talking to women, approaching women. But I knew that I wanted to get better with social skills. I knew I wanted to get better with women. I knew I wanted to bang hot women, and they didn't want to bang me. And this is frustrating. I was like, I want my penis to go inside of you. You're not okay with this. I need to figure this out. We got to make this happen. So it was very simple. And I was like, you know, if I do a meetup of some kind of like we do a Top Layer, I want to make it, you know, more national or even international. Is let dudes come out to it. You know, we can get together for a couple of days and do speeches and stuff. But I figured if I was even around guys, you know, a lot of them would be, you know, worse than me. Because at that point, I was at least approaching women, probably over 500 approaches at that point. So I was going to be better than a lot of guys, but I was like, there's going to be guys here who are better than me. Maybe they'll be 20, 21, 22 years old. You know, they've done maybe a couple thousand approaches. So even if I have to teach some guys when we meet up, I'll be able to learn from guys face to face who are just better than me. Yeah. And if they're nice enough to show up and take the action to show up, maybe this will happen kind of organically. In my head at the time, this was kind of loosely how I was thinking about it. So it was intended to be a meetup. It wasn't even supposed to be a conference until people suggested that, or a convention. They're like, hey, if you're going to do a meetup, why don't you get like a hotel conference room and just have some speakers? And just being me, I'm like, yeah, it sounds like a great idea. I'm like committed to it like instantly. I'm like, oh, fuck, now I got to like do all this stuff. But anyway, it was a hobby project, and it was basically a method for me to get better with women. And I knew that all these other dudes who also sucked with girls mostly, they would also benefit from that, just being around other men with shared interests and shared goals. Like, hey, we're all fucking terrible with women, but it doesn't have to stay that way. And if we meet up, maybe that can like change and we go out to a bar together. And dude, even in the early days of the convention, we used to all go to like the same club together, like 80 dudes. And it was hilarious because within like, as you can imagine, this is like mid 2000s PUA stuff. Every fucking dude is like, hey, who lies more, girls or guys? Yeah. So within like, dude, literally within like 30 minutes, every girl you go up to her, you'd be like, hey, she'd be like, fuck off. Yeah, yeah. Like they would immediately, like they were just, because these clubs weren't that big, and 80 dudes is a lot of people at these bars saying the same shit.
It lets you in, you know, that many dudes in. That it, well, I guess it's just a bar. Yeah.
Yeah, well, these are like one of them was called Roxy back in the day. It was like a real club, one of the few, and one of the few in Orlando that wasn't like downtown. So it had like hundreds of people at it, but still like 80 dudes walking in with the same fucking social skill set, you know, pretty bad. The same openers, the same motivation. They're all like amped up from the convention. You can imagine even now doing that, like going out. I mean, it'd be better these days because the guys are older, but it was hilarious back in the day.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. I mean, back in those days, pretty much what we would call the Manosphere wasn't even called the Manosphere. It was just correct. PUA, right? PUA. Would you say that PUA
or seduction too, even back then? Yeah.
Would you make a distinction between PUA and seduction?
I think it was a turning point. I mean, this is getting into old school stuff, but it really was. It was initially called the seduction community. Yeah, and this is in the days of like Ross Jeffries, particularly him. His thing has always been speed seduction, registered trademark. You know, trademark for Ross Jeffries. But even back then, when it was on MASF and like these news groups and stuff, it was called the seduction community. The PUA stuff got thrown into the mix by Mystery and Neil Strauss. I think both on the forums and then especially once the book came out, the game, that's when the PUA nomenclature, I guess would be the word, the acronym, that started kind of superseding seduction stuff. But they kind of been parallel, I think, for a long time. But I would see seduction stuff as a lot more authentic. The Alan Roger Currys and the even Zamparion, I think, would be a seduction guru, or just a seduction coach, not a PUA.
Yeah.
So there is a difference, but I think seduction.
PUA was more tactical. It seems like these are things to say. Here's how you move it forward. Whereas seduction was more, I think, based on how women think and how almost you can be, how you can guide interaction into sort of like vibe direction.
Well, I think a lot of it just came to the differences between the figures like Ross Jeffries, former speaker of the convention, and Mystery, who became like the next huge figure. And yeah, Mystery was a pickup artist. So Ross Jeffries was not a pickup artist. Ross Jeffries and those kind of people were much more interested in like actually in seduction and beliefs and belief systems and stuff, and energies and like masculinity and femininity, like Zamparion stuff. Zan called his company for a long time, and Enlightened Seduction, I think, was how he actually branded it. Mystery was in that kind of crew, the RSD crew. Mystery, Neil Strauss was much more mechanical and robotic. Yeah, even that's how the term came about, social robots, because they were just like approach machines. That's even what I did for a long time. I've done like 6,000, 7,000 fucking cold approaches. Like, and a lot of these were just robotic. A lot of them were not. I've actually got a lot more, I don't know if it's intense is the right word, but it became a lot less robotic and a lot more organic would be the way to put it. But the early years for me, it was just banging out approach, number. Back in the days when you got girls' phone numbers, instead of their fucking Snapchat or whatever the fuck they do now, their OnlyFans or something. Hey, what's your OnlyFans? God.
That I'm sure somebody's gonna say that's the next iteration of it. Because I mean, now we're already at like, you know, don't get her number, get her Instagram.
Yeah, I remember when girls started trying to give me their Instagram, I was like, I don't do that.
Yeah, I
was like, give me your number. They're like, no. I'm like, no, I'm gonna leave. Bye. Like,
yeah.
Because I need their number to send them a dick pic. I'm not gonna send it on Instagram. You can get banned. You know. This is why you don't get the Instagram or the. I mean, Snapchat, you could probably do it. You know, I did that back in the day a little bit. But,
so tell us a little bit about your approach. What's dream game?
Well, first of all, I wrote a book actually called The Dream Way. It's not for sale anymore. It hasn't been, and it's on sale for a long time. I was 19 when I wrote it. Yeah. It sold about 100 copies. I even have some print copies. I might still have one in the garage or something like that. I have the PDF somewhere. It's over 100 pages, and then like has a couple hundred pages of bonus content. I used to write field reports and lay reports like everyone else back then, like to the point of, dude, hundreds and hundreds of pages of stuff.
You should republish that.
Maybe. Just want to maybe just hang myself while I'm at it. Not literally per YouTube policy, you know, metaphorically speaking. So my approach, the Dream Way, the dream game, that's evolved over time. I never really got too into any particular school of thought back in the day. I did look at the M3 model. I read, what was it called by Mystery back in the day? Eventually it became Magic Bullets. Savoy like rewrote it. The Mystery method, I think, is just what it's called by Mystery. Yeah. So this model of A1, A2, A3, C1, C2, C3, S1, S2, S3, this kind of stuff. RSD stuff was compelling for a while for me. But really, kind of like the convention, I always just was interested in a lot of different stuff. And kind of like a Bruce Lee kind of mantra, I would try to just pick and choose what worked for me. I would at least experiment with it.
Yeah.
I remember even, for example, like this was totally not Mystery method. Mystery was much more indirect and like kind of subtle in his approach. But the RSD crew, even in like 2009, 2010, Julian, he's still around today on YouTube and stuff, doing stuff on his own, Julian himself or something. He popularized something called the Apocalypse Opener, and I loved it. And the Apocalypse Opener is you go up to a girl and you're just super, super blunt, super, super quick. So you're not like weird off the bat or anything. There's nothing even interesting off the start. Like, hey, how you doing? I'm Anthony. What's your name? Blah, blah, blah. Like basic shit. And within like less than a minute, you're like, hey, would you like to come home with me tonight? You just say it like real casually. And they're like, wait, what? Like, do you want to come home with me tonight? We need to go home together. Just real fucking just even. And these girls, they would just start like, I mean, you get different responses too. Some girls would like grab me. That's when I knew I was like, there's merit to this. A girl grabbed me. I remember when I first started doing this in 2009. She grabbed my shoulder and she was like, "Where do you live?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm like 19 or 20 or whatever age I am at this point." And I was like, "Holy shit." Because I really didn't know how this would get played out. And I was like, this is like magic. So yeah, I just kind of figured stuff out as I went over time, listening to different speakers and different coaches. And a lot of it is organic on my own. Not even, I would write about what I was doing, but I was really just out, just winging it. Like if I talk, like, let me say this, for any guy watching this, it's like sucks with girls, your social skills are terrible. If you go talk to 1,000 women over the next like 18 months or 24 months, you're going to get a lot better talking to girls. Even if you don't have a fucking clue like what you're doing, even if you don't read anything, not that you shouldn't, you should read Pat Stedman's newsletter, right? Watch speeches, whatever you want to do. But if you just have to go talk to women, and if you do that all on its own, you will organically, very naturally get better with women, just through repetition and through navigating the social conflicts that will come from that, however minor, hopefully not too bad. You might get a couple of drinks spilled on you along the way or something, depending on what you say. But yeah, a lot of it for me was just very like literally go out and experiment and see what the fuck happens and intuitively build this up over time.
Well, it's an unconscious approach. I mean, if you do something, even if you don't have any clue what you're doing, you just gradually figure out unconsciously certain things. If you do that and you apply material, then obviously you move through it a lot faster. But this is it's I appreciate that you put it so starkly, because a lot of guys are like, well, what do I do? How do I, get better with girls? It's like, well,
doesn't matter. Go talk to 1,000. Like, shut up.
Are you talking to girls?
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of the things, like I even tell guys when before we're going to do coaching, it's like, I can amplify what you do. I can catalyze your growth, but I like, if you're not going to go talk to girls, like, there's only really so much I can do for you.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Now there's more to my approach though, because this evolved. Now this evolved from like 2005 to like 2011. At the end of 2011, I got into that Medusa relationship, which went on for the next 4.5 years. So that obviously was its whole male-female, as a relationship experience. But I was not actively approaching any women at that time because I was with a woman. We were dating and then married. So there was like a development period from 2005 to 2011. There was thousands of approaches. And then when I left that relationship, when I found out she was literally a prostitute, I left immediately.
Yeah.
As I think any man would and should that had even an ounce of self-respect, like, oh, fuck, this was bad. Goodbye. What I'm going to say, though, is that there was then a development period from 2016 through like 2020, 2021. So, but you had a question?
No, I was going to say, you should tell guys that Medusa story, because I don't think a lot of...
Check it out on YouTube, 21 Studios, 2-hour speech. It's the clips and the speech itself have 13 million views now, or 12,900,000 and something thousand, which is awesome.
I'll link that below, and you can, because I know you went into it in so much detail in the speech that you don't have to go through all the detail. But I mean,
I was very young too. I mean, as much detail as there is, I agree with that. I mean, dude, I was so mad, and I was so much younger. That was 2016 when I gave that at the under 21 convention, actually. That's a young men's event. That's how we started the 21 convention. But I did another one in 2016 as well. And in the future, like if I'm just sitting on mountains of cash, we'll do more events for young men too, ages like 18 to 21. It's just really hard to do that because guys that age have zero money.
Yeah.
So it's like, how do you fund it? But anyway, I could tell the basics of the Medusa story for your audience.
Yeah, that'd be good. Especially because I think it'll help contextualize when we talk about some other, the Manosphere down the line. Like, gives you talk about this kind of stuff, because no one can say. Anyway, you go ahead.
So some of the basics in 2011. Well, I had found the Manosphere obviously in the seduction wing many years before this 2011, and I had finally gotten some success at that point, just banging girls and stuff, good looking women too, hot women, not these fat women that a lot of the Manosphere frauds bang. I've always been a stickler. The first girl I banged was an 8, like a solid 8. to the point that people didn't even believe it in my high school. Like, there's no fucking way. I'm like, yeah, totally fucked the shit out of her, dude. It was awesome. So that was like a fool's mate, just kind of like luck. There was some bravado to me that made that happen. It wasn't all luck. But anyway, the first girl was really good looking, and that set the bar really high. So ever since then, I've always been like, I deserve nothing but hot women. You know, occasionally like a 7 I would hook up with, but like even that was really like, you know, scraping the bottom of the barrel for me. And my 7 is like the average Manosphere guy is like 10.
Yeah.
As I see it. Like these dudes, I mean, Donovan Sharp calling his wife, Miss Piggy, calling her a 9 or better, and she's like a 2. I mean, this to me is like the epitome of fraud in the Manosphere. Anyway, with the Medusa stuff, I met a woman. I always thought online dating was like kind of gay. This is in the 2000s. And the Manosphere back then, this was like a common belief that it was looked down upon, going on Plenty of Fish and OkCupid and this kind of bullshit. You know, the real men would go out and talk to women face to face. And on a basic level, there's some truth to that. It's much more confrontational. It's more difficult. Online stuff, you know, it's an ocean of catfish and fat women. Even back then, it was kind of a mess. It's much worse now, but even back then, it was far from perfect. But one of our speakers, Bravo, he was a head coach for Neil Strauss for a little while back then, which was a big deal back in the day. He gave a speech at our convention in 2011 about online dating and how he was just crushing it, you know, banging good-looking women off of OkCupid, Plenty of Fish, stuff like that. And I got along with him well enough, and he gave it. The speech was good, and even talking to him, it was clear this guy got laid. I mean, he was not some goofball. Like this guy was slaying it in some capacity. I was like, okay, let me stop being so stubborn. Let me give, you know, online dating a try. Immediately, I bang this chick off Plenty of Fish, and then I bang another chick off Plenty of Fish the next day. So my roommates see me bang 2 chicks back to back, like in a 24-hour window. And I'm like, yeah, the online dating's dope. And they're all like, I'm like, yo, guys, I found the gold mine. As I found out, those 2 girls work together, and I ended up dating and marrying one of them, the woman who's now known as Medusa in the Manosphere. One of the reasons I call her Medusa is because she legally changed not only her last name after we broke up, which is understandable, from Johnson to something else. She changed her first name too, and I don't know what. And that's totally like a red flag. I mean, red flag the size of a fucking pickup truck. But anyway, I don't actually know what her name is these days. So Medusa is a funny name I created at the time, but at this point, I don't even know what her name is. Yeah. So calling her by her old name doesn't seem appropriate because that's not her name anymore.
It's super interesting because it's just like she's completely hiding her identity, her past.
Yep.
And some guy's going to end up with her and have no idea.
She got remarried the same year. I mean, as far as I know, she's probably still married. I don't know. I haven't talked to her since we split up, so I don't know.
So how did she pull you in that direction towards marriage? What was it about? I mean, you were young, you didn't have experience with it. What were some of the things that she did that kind of captured you?
Well, there's a lot we can pack into this, but let me just say this. I was on this train of thought earlier, but I missed out. So from the PUA community and seduction stuff and approaching women, I was able to kind of red pill myself. Like I knew any girl, you know, could potentially fuck you in the same night. And even back then, guys would argue with me about this, like, oh, good girls would never do that. I'm like, no, I think any chick would do that, man. Under the right circumstances and the right guy, she would definitely do that. And I'd seen a lot of crazy shit. I'd seen girls get fucked in the bathroom and stuff, you know, even as a teenager, just walking around downtown Orlando, just like crazy shit. So I was red pilled in some ways with women and dating, but it was very shallow. It was not a deep red pill. Like I did not understand female nature. I did not understand long-term relationships. I did not understand how women would operate in long-term relationships. So basically I was still kind of purple pill in that way, very sincerely, not in some derogatory way. People use that against you. That's bullshit. But really I was like red pill and I could go out, bang a hot girl. And I understood how this worked pretty well, but it was very mechanical still. And I did not have a lot of deep experience with like women, you know, just absolutely lying to your face, you know, very Machiavellian, malicious behavior or whatever, right? You know, the deeper elements of psychology and trauma and stuff. As far as it pulled me in, I was kind of obsessed with like redheads at that time in my life. And she was a redhead. So it was just like, I was on like a redhead kick from like being in Europe and stuff. And I'd seen a lot of redheads over there in 2010 and 2011 from Sweden and then in Britain too. So there was some like mechanics that like her being white was great. She was really pale, which is great. I like pale women. I always have. White women are my favorite animal, 100%. That's always been the case. I was on a redhead kick at the time, so that did not work in my favor. She was kind of tall, which I thought was useful at the time. She was like 5'8", which was pretty tall for a chick. Because like just really blunt, I have a huge dick. So when I fuck small girls, I mean, it's hard to even get it all in what you do. So I'm like using my noggin here. I'm like, all right, if a girl's a little bit taller, then I can get my dick all the way in. It's gonna be more fun. Really simplistic stuff you're thinking of as like a young 20-something, but I'm like, this is good. So yeah, there was a lot there like that. She was a massage therapist at the time. I did not understand that was a huge red flag. I was like, oh, she worked at a 5-star hotel. I'm like, oh, she has a job. She takes care of herself. She's also a licensed nurse, an RN. Like went to college. I thought that was a good thing. Wrong. So there was a lot there that was good. The sex was dope. I mean, she was a fucking crazy hooker.
Yeah.
Like literally a professional. I did not understand that at the time. But that was like all really good. And she was like I think basically I've called her a psychopath, like in the speech. Whether or not that's true in some clinical fucking DSM, scale, I don't really know or care. I definitely think she's BPD. If that term borderline personality disorder has any real merit in psychology, definitely fucking class act of it, like classic case.
Yeah.
Because of that, she was able, I think, to fine tune in like a hyper feminine way what I really wanted and what I valued. So she was like picking through my brain, basically trying to sink her hooks in like these claws, right? So what I did want also was like a really trad woman. I wanted to eventually someday, not at that exact moment, but get married, build a family, have a bunch of kids, that kind of stuff. So in the speech, I didn't mention this, but man, she was like super hyper trad. I mean, like cooking for like hours on end and like all this kind of stuff, stomach full of balls empty, like every fucking day, all that kind of stuff. And people in the speech, I didn't really clarify that, but that really is, cooking and cleaning, like, nonstop. So there was a lot there. She eventually got fired from her job, and then she worked on an online business I helped her get going too. So then we were kind of like working together out of the same house, which had its own kind of issues. For example, like if she wanted to go be a prostitute, during the day or something, or whatever it was, right? Us being separated for a few hours, I didn't think shit of it, because it's like, man, we've been together all day, every day for the past like 5-6 days in a row. If she goes out somewhere and has some excuse to go shopping or something, I don't think twice about it, because we've been working together in the same house every day for like 6 days in a row.
Right. And
she was very clever too, in doing this stuff. She would always have an excuse, like literally to the point of bags and receipts and shit like that. For example, she used to, I think, do a lot of escorting down in Naples, Florida, which is like pretty far from us, but like 45 minutes to an hour. But that was the only Whole Foods in like a fucking 2-hour radius. And I loved Whole Foods. So it'd be like a Saturday or something. And she'd be like, oh, I'm going to go to Whole Foods for you, blah, blah, blah. Well, if that took 3 hours, or over 3 hours, I didn't think anything of it. Yeah. Number one, Whole Foods is busy. And number two, it takes almost an hour each way to get there. So if she fucks some guy, runs into Whole Foods on the way out, picks up some shit, she can just say she got stuck in traffic or something. I mean, she was meticulous about covering her tracks like this. Always had an excuse, always had a receipt, this and that, always something to go do. And even if it was once a month or once a week, yeah, she was really into escorting. She would go periods too, where I think she wouldn't do it. She just didn't need the money, didn't want it, didn't care. Probably felt validated enough in the relationship where she didn't really need to go get her rocks off like that. People think she did it for money or something. For most of the time, I don't think that was the case.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a psychological thing.
Yeah.
It's the thrill of it. It's being, it's having that secret kind of like gives her the whole thing of control.
Yes. Total control freak, and very covert about it. I would have no tolerance for like a woman telling me what to do. Alyssa has always understood that with me. But it's easier to control somebody with that attitude when you give them the illusion of control, or the illusion of like command in the relationship or leading it or something. I mean, dude, Medusa was a fucking chess player straight up.
Yeah.
Even with speakers, dude, she would distance herself from certain speakers or get close to them depending on the person, depending on the personality, depending on what like threat level she thought they were to our relationship. I mean, really like a real tactician. very motivated to pull this off.
She would know that some guys would be able to suss her out, suss something was off with her.
Yes.
So she would keep her distance. Yeah, yeah.
But if they were like close to me, like the video director or someone like Socrates or something, she would work to get really close to them and kind of buddy up to them.
Right. Right.
And just, you know, whatever bullshit story she had to tell them, whatever manipulation, she would focus it on them. And then the other ones she would just stay away from.
Yeah.
And then behind the scenes, maybe talk shit about them or something to try to, it would never ultimately soil my relationship with them, but it would be enough to where it would just kind of keep them at an arm's length, at a distance.
So. Delegitimize them. It's interesting how, you know, you knew game, you knew kind of how to pull her in, but then at the same time she's gaming you.
Yeah. Yep. I was just unprepared for that. I had never seen a girl do that before. Nothing even remotely like this. Little lies and shit. And I remember seeing a girl one time, a fuck buddy, one of the longest ones for like a year. I remember her lying to her mom on the phone when her car got towed when she was, you know, visiting to fuck. And the smoothness that she lied to her mom on the phone, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. But this is like a drop in the bucket compared to what Medusa did. Like, she was really dedicated to this hidden lifestyle. Her own family, I don't even think, knew about the escorting. They knew she was like a cheater and stuff, but they didn't know she was a prostitute, as far as I know.
How did you find out ultimately
that she was a prostitute?
Yeah.
So that's discussed in the speech. It's a whole fucking story in itself. The basics is that initially I just caught her cheating. I suspected she was cheating, looked into it, found nothing. 2 weeks went by. My gut was still telling me to check. I checked again, found some evidence. It was enough to where I was like, we're done instantly. For the next 5 days, I'm packing up. When I like, hey, we're done. Facebook and no more marriage, ring off, like I'm fucking out of here. For the next 5 days was packing my shit up, you know, getting a U-Haul, packing everything up, my whole fucking life. I was gonna move back to Orlando where I went to college. And during that time, she was doing everything to fucking keep me in the relationship for whatever reason, right? More pain, more torture, who knows, right? Whatever the fuck. So she was just like throwing shit at the wall at some points towards the end, just crying, alligator tears, promises, you know, I'll never do it again, blah, blah, everything you can fucking think of. One night, one of the last nights, she let slip that she had done some escorting very briefly in like a long time ago in the 2000s or something. And I had never heard anything about this. I'm like, what? Like that, like come again? And, you know, she had a very specific story for it. And I was so emotionally distraught at the time. I didn't know what to make of it. It was just a huge mental note. It's like, okay, this woman, I'm leaving. This is done. Who cares what kind of truth she's trying to tell me or open up about her life or some bullshit? Like, I never knew this. This is like a huge red flag being a prostitute. So I got to Orlando and I finally told Socrates about this because I was not like posting some Facebook like, hey guys, like ex-wife, you know, wife says she was a prostitute. What do you guys think about this? But me and Soccer having a drink out behind his house, and I'm like, hey man, because he knew Marilee Medusa really well. You know, he had known her for years at that point. You know, seen her a lot. And I was like, hey man, I got to tell you something. I don't know what to make of it. It's a super sketch. And I told him that she had been a prostitute for allegedly this brief period of time. And Sock immediately is like, whoa, 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 whoa. All right. He's like, and he's like much older than me. He's like 50 years old at this point, or almost 50. He's like, look, if she started being an escort, being a prostitute, there's almost no chance she stopped.
Yeah.
Maybe for brief periods she stopped here and there, but then she would always get back to it.
Always go back to it.
He's like, so no matter what you do, before you lose access to her emails or phone records, all that kind of shit, you need to look it up. And I was like, all right, I'll look it up. Who cares? You know, let me look into this. I mean, not who cares, but like not a big deal. Let me investigate. The next day I'm at his house. I lived there for about like 2 weeks. It was briefly till I found a place to rent. And immediately I see phone numbers to like escorting agencies in Florida. One of them was called Hose on Call down in like Fort Lauderdale. Yeah. And just a lot of sketchy numbers like that all over the state, places where we didn't know anybody, and multiple escorting agencies. So that to me was the nail in the coffin. Like these are like from 2015 too. Yeah. These are when we were married, never mind before. So she had been escorting for, by my calculation, at least 10 years by the time I left. So long before I was even around, and then throughout the relationship. And she admitted to some of it in writing. I confronted her about some of it through email and stuff. I was trying to fish out a confession, which I got out of her, and then I dumped it on YouTube.
Well, no wonder she changed her name, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's going to haunt her forever if she kept her real name, but she changed it. So I guess it does a lot to offset that.
Yeah. I want to tell guys that, because you know, there's always some guy who listens to this stuff and they have some sort of massive panic attack over the whole thing. Um, Women are certainly, you know, duplicitous, and you need to understand about girl game and how they, you know, how they pull a guy in, and that they can lie about things. But Medusa is a very, very, I mean, you're dealing with like an apex predator. Your garden variety girl is nowhere close to being able to deal with this kind of stuff. And honestly, I've mostly only heard stories of this sort of stuff with like Eastern European women. Like Russian women seem to have like a higher level of, because it takes a high level of intelligence and beauty and sexual awareness. Let's put it that way. Like you have to have a trifecta to be a woman like this. So like super high IQ, super hot, and it's like super sexually attuned. And women, you know, almost never have all three of those anyway, let alone to have all three of those and the intent to cause harm.
Yep. I had never seen, like, I came from a very super abusive, violent household growing up. So that the most of the abuse, not all, and I was not aware of it because I was so young, but most of the abuse I saw growing up was like very violent, very overt, very blunt, screaming and violence, domestic violence, cops coming, like all kinds of crazy shit, like blood and just fucking nuts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the experience that Medusa, I think, was linked to that. I later realized because living with her was, you know, being together, you know, trying to build a relationship and a marriage and a family. We never got around to actually having kids, obviously, thank God.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, she was never stupid. She was very covert. She was not stupid. She figured out pretty early on that I came from that kind of background. So she was never screaming. She was never violent. She was never that stupid. She would never try to overtly control me, right? Everything was very covert. And I had never seen someone have that kind of intent, that negative, almost malicious intent. Probably was malicious at some points. Some of it was just her own kind of trauma, just like venting out into the world onto me.
Sure.
A lot of this, I didn't cause her to be like this, and I wasn't the only guy she did this to. I'm just one of the few that had a YouTube channel and a conference to talk about it, which is unusual. Every guy's like revenge dream on his ex-wife. Blast his bitch on YouTube. But yeah, it's the abuse I had seen growing up was very overt, and I had never seen someone do this kind of covert, long-range abuse. Ultimately, is what it was relationship abuse, even sexual abuse. Like I didn't want to, you know, bang. I would never have banged a chick like this that was like a fucking hooker this many times. This is like dangerous, just from an STD perspective.
Yeah.
So yeah, it didn't make sense to me, given my philosophy and beliefs even then, that you'd want to be in a relationship with someone that you love and then actively try to hurt them and deceive them at such a powerful scale. It was just bizarre to me. I didn't have those kind of beliefs in my head to do that to somebody.
It's interesting though, as you describe like how she acted towards the end, it almost seems to me like she really, she almost did regret that she hurt you, you know, but it like in the sense that she was not going to be able to stop doing what she was doing. This is who she was, but it's not that, you know, she didn't love you, you know, or have some sort of feelings for you. It wasn't, I don't know, from when you tell it to me, it's almost like I see there's almost this part of her that, you know, she became a hoe and she couldn't stop.
Yeah. I think you're right. One of the speakers commented that when we broke up, when we split, the divorce, so to speak, because we were never legally married, thank God, but we did a lot of things that would mimic that. Having a wedding, took my last name legally, you know, rings, honeymoon, all that kind of stuff. But he said that her marriage to me, so not only the relationship, but even trying to get married, was her screaming for normalcy.
Yeah.
Because her life had been so abnormal. Her childhood was even worse than mine. And it's rare I say that about somebody. My childhood was really bad, like really violent, really rough, really, really loud. A lot of, like I mentioned, a lot of screaming, a lot of violence on a almost daily basis for fucking 15, 17 years that I remember of it. Hers is even worse. And, you know, she had gotten into prostitution being an escort, or she called herself a high-end call girl when she was like 19 by her own account. Maybe it was even earlier. So that much, you know, prostitution, selling your soul for a couple $100 like that. I mean, that's gotta, women are so sensitive anyway to trauma and damage. I mean, she's just like overflowing with it. And I think she probably did want to get away from it and heal, but never was able to do that. And me, I was just like a last gasp of her trying to do that to escape this like lifetime of like super hoage.
Yeah.
But she's doomed.
What's interesting is that, I mean, we've talked numerous times about this phenomenon of OnlyFans and this sort of rapid ease of prostitute. I mean, it is prostitution. Okay, maybe it's not always full contact, but it's prostitution. And the dangers of girls getting into that, when we talk about it, we lament it. But I think, you know, there's another element here that we have to impress upon guys and any women who maybe happen to watch this, which is this, like, once a woman connects her sexuality so directly to money,
yes,
it's something that you just can't reverse it. I've never seen it get reversed before.
They crossed the Rubicon.
They crossed the Rubicon. Yeah.
Yeah.
They crossed the Rubicon completely, because the thing is, like, just whenever, like you said, like, they might go through a period where they stop.
Yeah.
Then either there's some emotional stress where they feel like they're not wanted or whatever, or they have any kind of financial difficulty.
Yep.
Then they're right back in it again. It's like second nature.
It's easy money.
It's easy money.
Yeah. I mean, let's make it clear too. I was thinking about this yesterday. I tweeted about it too somebody tweeted about it. You know, an employee of 21 Studios tweeted about it on Twitter.
Yeah.
There are literally grandmas, probably by the thousands of them at this point, on OnlyFans. Literally. Go look this up, dude. There are grandmothers on OnlyFans.
I want to.
I mean, these women they're probably in their 50s and whatnot, but like that, I'm serious. There's OnlyFans grandmas. And you're going to see more of that as time goes on in the coming, 5, 10, 20 years. These single moms will become, on OnlyFans, a lot of them are single moms, will become single grandmas instead of single moms. So there'll be single grandmoms on OnlyFans. And this, to me, really illustrates the fall of the West and the fall of the American empire culturally as a people. Where grandmas, back in my day, in the 90s, grandmas would bake cookies and make chicken noodle soup and garden and shit like that. Now they sell pictures of their vagina on OnlyFans to men who are 1/3 of their age. Like, this is madness, but this happens every day.
I think it just underlines how you can't put so much. There's only a certain amount of bullshit that a foundation can take before it starts to crumble across the board.
Yeah.
And what we've really seen over the last 20 years in particular, but of course you can track it back to the 60s, is that, people just took it for granted. They said, oh, well, this is a really, all this stuff works. So, we can have this social change or that social change. And now you get the stuff where it's like, well, is it really a big deal for you just to have pronouns? It's like, yeah, it is actually a big fucking deal. Yeah. It's actually a big deal 20 years ago when, you started to bring all this stuff into the mainstream. Like, I don't have, and I think you're the same way, I don't have any issue with a gay person. If that's what he does, that's what he's interested in, that's what he's interested in. But obviously, when we've gotten to the point where we're talking about over promotion, when they legalized gay marriage, like, I was honestly, it's 2015. I would say I was completely neutral. I wasn't really like big on the fact that it was marriage, but I was very pro civil union. And I was like, whatever. Honestly, I was like, whatever about it. And since then, it has been like every single thing is about LGBT promotion. Yep. Across the board. It is like it is a revolutionary movement now.
There are 5-year-olds being taught about butt sex in public schools. This is why they have the anti-groomer stuff, like in Florida
Yeah.
now and other states. Like it's just fucking sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm kind of like you. Like I'm very much my political foundations. I was apolitical growing up. Like it just wasn't really a thing in our house
Hmm.
until 2009. I found Ayn Rand and Ron Paul, Congressman Ron Paul. His son Rand Paul is a senator for a long time. So my foundations of politics immediately went into like, you know, ultra hardcore founding fathers, kind of that classical like liberalism, libertarianism, objectivism more formally.
Hmm.
But, and because of that, with the gay marriage stuff too, early on, I was kind of like, well, maybe the government has no business anyway in marriage. That still might be my view on this. I'm not really sure. But
Hmm.
I do believe strongly that the gay marriage stuff, the homo marriage, is an attack on marriage itself, as Christians would define it, or as history would define it, between a man and a woman. So there are a lot of like normal gay people, male and female, who are just normal people who don't want to like groom kids. They're not fucking weirdos. They don't want to bully you around. They don't want really a lot to do with you at all.
Yeah.
But there's a huge chunk, huge minority, or maybe majority, I don't know. But a lot of them, it's a covert method to instill, to wage a much wider war on the culture. So basically a lot of it was gay marriage was an attack on marriage, on heterosexual marriage is how they've used it. That to me is a fact of how they've actually used it since that Supreme Court ruling in 2015. And the Christians would say then this is like a huge slippery slope. That's what they were saying anyway before the fact. And
Yeah.
ultimately they were right, and at least in a practical sense. So
Yeah.
it's bad. Yeah.
But what's interesting is that, you know, and I think this is bring it back to some of, you know, the core topic here I wanted to get to on our show, which is the manosphere.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how, so, you know, we have years back, the manosphere is, you know, PUA seduction, kind of gradually becomes more about the psychology behind things, like red pill, I guess you could say, dynamics. And then you start to have more social commentary, more and more social commentary, because once you start to figure out, okay, well, this is how women are, this is how women act, and then you start to see how maybe structures incentivize the bad behavior of women. And why has culture gotten to the point where these things that women do that's bad for society, bad for relationships, why is it being encouraged? And why are there no consequences to it? And so you have this broader social commentary. And now we look at the manosphere today, and the manosphere is, I think, the preeminent cultural counter movement in the country.
100% agree.
So talk about this a little bit, and, you know, about how you see the manosphere, the role it's playing, and also, you know, talk about some of the aspects of the manosphere that maybe you feel like are becoming less constructive over time. Like, you know, because I think personally, like, there's I understand certain communities that developed as a spinoff and certain emotional reactions, but there are definitely some weak sections to the manosphere, MGTOW, guys who I don't think are necessarily rising to the occasion, I think is a fair way to put it. But anyway, riff off of that and let me know. Yeah.
So first of all, I agree 100% that the manosphere, as you called it, I think the preeminent counterculture movement alive today. I think it's the most important movement alive in the United States and in the West by far, even more than MAGA and that kind of stuff. And I'm a huge Trump fan. A lot of that's personal. I don't always agree with his policies or anything like that, or what he advocates. But as an old Ron Paul fan, and Ron Paul tried to do the same thing that Trump did in terms of going through Republican primary, trying to take over the party, trying to get in the White House, make real changes that were huge to restore the vision of the founding fathers, or at least move the country in the direction that the founders would recognize and respect. Something resembling sanity, living in a free and civilized society, right? Which is not where we're at and not where we're heading. It keeps getting worse and worse. So even considering stuff like MAGA, which to me, that's a really positive political movement, it's been a huge positive shift for the country. The manosphere is still much, much more important. I do believe that, as Andrew Breitbart said back in the day, politics lives downstream of culture. And the manosphere is addressing these cultural issues, sometimes legally and policy stuff. I think men's rights activists, for example, you didn't mention them. I think MRA is kind of co-evolved with the rest of the manosphere, with the PUAs and seduction stuff, and with even MGTOW and the red pill. And it's kind of coalesced into this one larger, loosely organized movement now. Very, very loosely organized, but still very similar issues, men's concerns for fathers and even for boys, like we're seeing with Jeff Younger. So there's been a big evolution of it. It keeps changing, keeps growing, and keeps morphing. The different little tribes keep changing and colliding with each other. I think TradCons are like a big kind of segment of the manosphere these days, for example. And even the Patriarch Convention that we started in 2019, that is like an iteration of that. It's like a physical event to coalesce, build an alliance of men who want to focus on those topics and care about those issues and align with their views in that way, which is obviously going to be different from like an old pickup artist or something like that. So it's huge. Like I cannot stress enough that I think the manosphere is the most, like I said, the most important movement alive. And if it doesn't succeed, then the culture doesn't have a chance. It's going to die. Like we are facing the fall of Rome. I think the trans stuff is an example of that. The election stuff is an example of that. The crazy drag queen story hour stuff is an example of that. Teaching 5-year-old kids about butt sex in public schools with taxpayer money is an example of that. The rise of grandmas on OnlyFans is an example of that. So the manosphere is the only movement really addressing these problems. Teaching, let me put it this way. My thinking on masculinity and femininity is that they're the most powerful forces that exist in our entire species. They're way older than any religion. They're way older than civilization. They date back, in my view, hundreds of thousands of years. They're the most fundamental forces that we have, like primordial would be a way to put it, in our species. Sure. And that's all collapsing. Toxic masculinity, the weak men, the betas, the soy boys, degenerate women who are just horrors to an infinite degree. I mean, grandmas on OnlyFans, there are 18-year-old girls now. I think it's normal to be one of 500 genders. And you know what? On top of that, I'm going to sell pictures of my vagina for the price of a cheeseburger. Like this is madness that we live under. These girls are racking up body counts bigger than John Wick. Like, this is, I mean, it's, as Christians would say, it's like Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is really nasty shit. But also we live in this decadent society where you can still have conversations like this on high-speed internet. I can leave this right now, go to Starbucks and get a pumpkin spice latte with cheap gas and cheap coffee, and I have fucking guns around me. I can break my leg and go to the fucking store or go to the hospital right now and get top quality medical care for free. Just don't pay the bill to the ER.
I mean, I'm an optimist, and I don't think that the fight is over. But
I agree. I'm not a black pillar. I'm not a black pillar.
Yeah, no, I wasn't suggesting that you are, but it is definitely a precipice that we're approaching. I mean, America needs to. I mean, in some sense, if you look at political realities as well, we have precious little time to turn it around, because one of the things that isn't really talked about a lot is, and we kind of alluded to this earlier with like how much stress can a culture take, how much stress can a society take. A lot of our institutions are propped up by boomers that are old and retiring and dying. And Gen X has a certain level of competency, but they're a smaller generation. And let's be honest, I mean, the boomers have the power in the country, and the boomers have been content to like bring in lower echelons of idiots into the organizations, and the organizations are kind of subsisting on what was there before and what the boomers kind of have top control over. Once they're out, the competency goes. And a lot of these organizations are just, you have total idiots who are brought in on ideological reasons, on social quotas.
Look at the Supreme Court justice, that chick. What the fuck was her name? I don't know. They called her like Justice Wakanda or something. She can't even answer what a woman is. Like, what is a woman? Oh, I don't know. I'm not a biologist. Like, This is crazy. And then you have the nuclear secretary assistant or something, the guy who's stealing fucking luggage and he puts on dresses and shit.
Twice,
I
yeah,
mean,
multiple times they've caught him stealing luggage. I mean,
yeah, the guy's a fucking criminal, like thief. Like this is, and he's managing nuclear weapons and shit. Like, this is madness. Like people are gonna die, man.
and what's incredible is just how inconceivable this would have been even 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, I
even
think
10 years ago, this didn't exist.
Yeah,
even under Obama, this wasn't a thing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It's, I mean, certainly not his first term. Like there was nothing at all like that. It truly is alarming, and the manosphere is this, like you said. I mean, a country is built, its foundation is its culture. And I think what the manosphere is doing is, at a minimum, even if like we lose and America falls, the West falls in some sense, there are guys who there's a seed that's being planted.
Yeah.
You know, and I think when you expand it to a further level, you have the fundamental stuff, what it means to be a man, because that is the fundamentals. But guys who step into that then start to step into the culture that they came from, you know, or that their ancestors came from. And so it takes the history and the traditions with it. And I think it keeps the flame alive. You know, I mean,
sure.
So it's one of these things, like, you could, even if we don't take the whole thing back, because even when that happens, I mean, we're talking about decades of cleanup.
Yes. I saw a video today on Twitter. I retweeted it with 21, and it was a college classroom, I think, from this the other day. And you have this kind of fat chick teacher, but professor. She's up at the front of the class, and she's actually speaking common sense. She's arguing with the student in front of probably like 100 students, and this female student is talking about, you know, not only, you know, people have wombs, not just women. And the teacher's like, no, only women have wombs. And the chick's like, I have a womb and I'm not a woman. And the professor's like, you're a woman and you have a womb. And the whole class, not just the student, the whole class is fucking losing it. They're not laughing, they're like yelling at her and bitching. And it's like, dude, the trans stuff, the gender stuff, the insane gender ideology of 800 genders, the global homo stuff, the feminism, like, it's infected all the Zoomers. Like a huge chunk of Zoomers have gotten sucked into this. Some millennials too, a lot of millennials, but like, yeah, this is bad. I mean, these people are getting their tits chopped off, these young girls and stuff. You have boys being castrated, being fed hormone blockers and puberty blockers. Like, yeah, we live in this weird time where we live in like the nicest, most advanced, the most comfy time in human history. And also, like, we've completely lost all common sense. Reason went out the window, to the point that kids are being groomed and molested and stuff, and and surgically mutilated by doctors. Like, it is, the time we live in is beyond bizarre. May you live in interesting times. Yeah.
That famous blessing and curse.
Yeah.
What's interesting about it, I mean, I try to maintain some hope for the Zoomers for two reasons. First off, within their cohort, some of the biggest reactionaries are also found. Not that they aren't damaged from just the whole thing themselves, but a lot of the ones who are most resistant to it are the ones who have grown up in it. And, you know, youth is capable of a lot of change. So, you know, you have kids who are under 22, under, 23 right now, who are exposed and they're believing all sorts of ridiculous things. They can wake up from it. And when they wake up from it, they can swing very much the opposite direction.
Maybe. Yeah, I think this is a possibility.
When you get to, especially when and I've been noticing this a little bit more and more, that, you know, because there's a certain backfire that, like, they've tried to push this hyper egalitarianism on the generation. And the result is that I think that there's a lot of also, they have less institutional trust.
Yeah.
So when they start to understand that they're being lied to about stuff, it starts to unravel everything for them. Now, you know, it brings in some interesting questions about what relationships in that cohort are going to look like, because you may have, you know, some girls who, you know, maybe they, you know, like for our conversation earlier, maybe they were on OnlyFans for a bit and then they woke up to it, you know, or they just going where the wind blows. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be really messy repairing this stuff, even if people do
Yes.
wake up. There's a lot of really, really serious damage. But I think what a lot of people don't understand or appreciate because of Western arrogance is that the world is done with it.
Yeah.
The rest of the world is sick of us. They're sick of us. And now that we're total degenerates, they don't want anything to do with us. They're building parallel systems. They're building parallel trade networks. And I mean, we're straying off typical, you know, YouTube interview topics here, but so much of Western prosperity is based on the fact that of the petrodollar and the overseas dollar market, the Eurodollar system, and all of that stuff is collapsing right now. And once that changes, Americans don't realize that a lot of their prosperity is actually unearned.
Yeah.
Completely unearned. We've been
it's all fake. It's all just printed out of thin air, and the ability to bully other countries around using the petrodollar as a standard for oil and stuff. I'm just not as optimistic as you. Like I would consider myself a realist and focus on reason and reality. And I think there's an enormous, like you're saying, there's an enormous amount of pain incoming, and I'm not confident in the Zoomers. Hopefully I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I know I've met, even for example, a lot of America First Zoomers, the Nick Fuentes crowd, and I had high hopes for them, and I had high expectations within reason. I was very disappointed. I went to one of their conferences a little bit less than a year ago in Orlando, 2022. A lot of these famous speakers were there. Nick was there. Jesse Lee was there. Peter Lover, Peter Eater. You know, MTG was there. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Congressman Gosser or something like that. Anyway, Anyway, as far as the audience goes, I met a lot of these Zoomer kids. A lot of them even knew 21 Studios. You know, they knew about it and stuff. And it was just a fucking mess. I mean, Alyssa was there with me. She was creeped out by a lot of these guys, like these hardcore fucking incel beta types. They were much more ignorant and much more like slave-minded, like Rolla fans. Like they were just like zombies. And it was like, this is fucked. Like this was no better than like Zoomers who are into like trans stuff to me.
No, I agree with you. And I guess to be more precise, I think that the Zoomers can change.
They can. But
I don't believe that they are going to be the relevant force here. I'm actually, and a lot of people will say, you know, same difference, but I put a lot more of the faith in the millennials.
Sure.
Doing the Zoomers, because the millennials are not, they're more brought up in the realities of today, but they have some anchoring. Zoomers have no idea what it was like. I mean, millennials, we remember a normal society. And that's important because when the Zoomers being so unanchored, they can't change anything. They can be frustrated. They just flail around. Whereas millennials are more like, okay, I can navigate in this current space, but why did we leave that space? Like boomers can't navigate in this space. Even really Gen X struggles to it. I mean, they're a little bit better. So I put a lot of the faith on millennials. A lot of the millennials, you know, they grew up in schooling when it was sane. So they do have, I mean, a lot of them have kind of fallen for some ideology, but they're not radicals. Overall.
Even Hollywood was way more normal back in the 90s. I mean, look at a movie like The Patriot with Mel Gibson in 2001, I think. I mean, that would, if that came out today, it would be blasted as like ultra right wing fucking terrorist propaganda or something.
It would never be produced today.
It wouldn't even be made. But it was a great movie. And these are the kind of movies that were normal, Braveheart and stuff in the 90s and the 80s and stuff. And me and you both have memory of that when it was current and relevant and real and even celebrated and, you know, whatever. These Zoomers have none of that. I agree. And maybe millennials are the hero generation.
I mean, if you follow any of Strauss and Howell's cycles on generations, I mean, they are the hero generation. They're the ones who are supposed to be relevant.
I have it. I've read some of it.
Yeah, the Zoomers are like the generation of like the Hitler Youth. I mean, they're not, like
Yeah.
they had no, yeah. So enough said on that. But
I think the original question was about the manosphere and its kind of
right.
evolution and stuff as a movement. There was more to it too. The second part, I don't remember.
Well, one of the things I wanted to ask about was, so, as the manosphere's grown, I mean, like, it's not that certain the manosphere isn't this anymore. And I think you've done a really good job in your speeches of pointing this out. It's not that, seduction community doesn't exist anymore. It's just that the entire thing has expanded and expanded and expanded into different domains. I'm curious though about some of the elements of the manosphere that are maybe, not constructive. Like, you can say that, okay, well, some people will argue, well, seduction community isn't even constructive because, trads will be like, we're all about family formation.
Yeah.
But, there's practical elements to this, and it's
Yeah.
certainly not, let's just say, a negative movement. Some might disagree, but I would say it's not whole on negative movement. But then you have groups like MGTOW, and I want you to talk a little bit about that, because
Sure.
I just kind of see, as things have moved on, I don't understand really what the point of them are. I don't understand what they're really trying to accomplish.
So I have some ideas here. I think that your audience will find interesting. I'm not a Christian, like I'm an atheist and objectivist. I was raised Catholic, so I'm a retired Catholic these days. But over the past couple of years, because of the Patriarch Convention, I've been around even more Christians than usual, pastors and stuff like that, and Catholics and whatever. So Protestant, Orthodox like Jeff Younger, and then Catholics like Elliot and these other guys. So in my understanding, Christianity historically just kind of got so big that over time it eventually branched out into multiple denominations. Initially, you had like the Catholic, and then Catholic and Orthodox split off. They had their fight 1,000 years ago or whatever. Then eventually you had the Protestant Reformation, and there's just like infinite more Protestant denominations since then. I think and eventually, a Catholic today might describe themselves as Catholic, but they wouldn't mind if you called them a Christian either.
Right.
They're a Christian, or an Orthodox. Or do I have to specifically say you're an Orthodox Christian? If I call you a Christian, you're not going to get mad. Right? You would identify as a Christian. You're specifically the specific denomination, though. I think the manosphere is kind of moving in that direction. I don't know if the term manospherian will ever catch on like Christian would.
Yeah.
But that to me, I think, is how the movement has evolved. Is that it keeps morphing, and these different groups keep clashing, but coming together sometimes as time goes on. And I think these specific like groups are not even as important anymore at this point. It's like the manosphere is this thing, and then you do have still some like little specific tribes in it, but really it's the whole movement. A lot of guys, I think, would not even consider themselves part of any particular group, and that's not the same as it was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, you were specifically like into PUA stuff. You might even call yourself a PUA, like at least on the internet, like I'm a pickup artist, whatever, right? Or you're a men's rights activist. Some guys will still say they're men's rights activists. Like this is important to them. But overall, I think the manosphere just keeps kind of coalescing and coming together like that. What was the rest of your question? There's another part I wanted to follow up on.
Asking about MGTOW.
Oh yeah, MGTOW. Yeah.
It used to be one of the really big ones. It was kind of like, for a period of time, it was like MGTOW, PUA, and Red Pill.
And MRA.
Yeah, and MRA.
Yeah, so the MGTOW stuff, I used to have a lot more patience for them. That has really run thin at this point. They've become a lot more combative, and they've been like attacking me a lot more in recent weeks and months. And I think also the movement has just gotten, that little sub-movement in the manosphere, I think it's just gotten less healthy over time. For example, Coach Greg Adams, one of our speakers, I love him to death. He used to be much more associated with MGTOW, and then like a year or two ago, he kind of like distanced himself from that. And he kind of just rebranded as his free agent lifestyle, like his own brand. And I think that was, in my view, just as an observation, it's not based on any private conversation. I think that to me is a recognition that the MGTOW is kind of getting less healthy and more retarded over time. He wanted to kind of distance himself from that. Some guys have even tried doing this with the manosphere over the years. I don't think it's a good idea. Even Alan Roger Curry did that before he died. Yeah. He put out a press release in like 2019, 2020, just because the manosphere is being lobbed in with like incels and terrorists and like shooters and shit like that, like the Isla Vista shooter and stuff like that. He's still engaged with the manosphere constantly anyway, and I think he eventually just kind of forgot about that. But anyway, MGTOW to me, so I'll say this in defense of MGTOW, if you sincerely, as a creator or just as a guy looking at content on YouTube or on the internet from the Manosphere, if you sincerely want to protect men or want to teach men how to protect themselves from unjust and unfair laws for divorce and fatherhood and family court and paternity fraud and like all this stuff, I don't have a problem with that. If that effort is sincere and authentic, and you're not just some grifter, you know, begging for super chats like some hoe, which is what a lot of these guys do. These MGTOWers, these YouTubers, right? They're just begging for super chats, like little, like OnlyFans girls, like webcam girls, basically, but under a different banner, under a different platform. But for MGTOW itself, they've gotten super hardcore into like not reproducing. Like, I'm not going to have kids. I'm not going to build a family. I'm never going to get married. I'm never going to date. I mean, this shit has gotten super intense, and it's gotten to the point where it's like they either only fuck sex dolls or they only fuck escorts. I'm serious. This is what they advocate. There are guys on YouTube with 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 subscribers who promote this crap. This is really extreme shit. It's like, okay,
that's way worse than when it was a few years ago, because I haven't really paid attention to him since like 2018.
Yeah, man, it's bad. I mean, so basically the new thing is like only marry a literal factual virgin, or only get married if the laws change. This is only when the laws change. Only when the laws change. They have no idea what laws need to actually be changed. They don't even know what they're fucking talking about half the time. If you gave them a magic wand to change whatever they want in the next 20 minutes in the country, they wouldn't even know where to fucking start. Barely, right? They just don't know. So this to me is fucking weird. It's wrong. It's weird. It's bizarre. It's wrong. The laws are unfair today towards men and towards fathers, and family court and paternity issues and a lot of different shit, Me Too stuff, allegations. Like, there's all kinds of problems in the legal system in our country, specific to each state as well as around the country, right? The whole thing.
Illinois is the state, from what I understand. Probably.
Yeah. Kentucky, by comparison, is a good state. I think it was the first state to have 50-50 default custody for parents when they get a divorce, which is really good. I think I think children need both a mother and a father. A lot. They need both, 50-50. So anyway, the idea that you're going to intentionally not reproduce, which is what they're advocating now, until the laws change, or because the dating market is so bad and women are so toxic, and women are hoes. American women today are the biggest hoes in the history of this planet. I don't think there's any denying that at this point. The fact that there's thousands of grandmas on OnlyFans is a testament to this fact. Like, women are really unhinged today, and they have degenerated faster than men have. I think because men are more resistant to propaganda and kind of collapse issues like that, these factors. Because we benefit more from standing out socially. Women don't. They want to go along with it and conform. Men are fucked up too. I mean, I don't want to pretend that that's not the case. It's that women are even more fucked up. So these guys that make that excuse, and it's like, well, you're not going to build a family ever. You're never going to get married ever. You're never going to have a relationship ever. You're never going to fuck any woman ever. You're just going to fuck dolls and escorts or something. An escort would be a woman, but I mean, it's madness is what it is, and it's sick. And this is absolutely fucking retarded. Like I was talking about earlier, as bad as things are in these specific ways, we still live in one of the most amazing times, probably the most amazing time that's ever existed in this planet. Dude, we have toilet paper, running water, unlimited fucking cheap gasoline for now, unlimited electricity, air conditioning. Like I said, you can break your fucking leg going to Starbucks right now, getting your little pumpkin spice fucking latte. On the way out of the Starbucks, if you break your leg, you can get, unlimited fucking medical care at a local ER. You can throw the bill out the window. You can hire an attorney for free. He'll get you $300,000 settlement out of fucking Starbucks for breaking your leg. Like, you can talk on the internet all day. We have unlimited. There's millions of videos you can watch, or billions. I mean, the level you can talk. We're talking across the country right now instantaneously. You could talk to someone from fucking Australia, even the moon, if they're like on the moon, like there's something, right? Theoretically. So, or I guess the technology probably does exist to do that anyway. But anyway, you live in this amazing time, right? And these guys just make these bullshit excuses like, yeah, I'm going to wipe out my whole genetic line because divorce laws suck for men. Like, this is just total faggotry. Like, I have no respect for this anymore. It's just gay.
Yeah. And, and nobody cares, right? I mean, that's the thing that's so sad about it, is that they almost miss the fundamental premise of what it is to be a man. Like, they're out there, And I think this is one of the, I'm going to put like a little bit of a tinfoil hat on for a second here. People know I do that. I tend to do that. But one thing I've always been a little bit skeptical about, and I'm not saying that I think necessarily that there was funding for it, although maybe with certain individuals, who knows? I mean, you know that there's a lot of infiltration. But I've looked at some of the more pessimistic red pill, MGTOW, certainly black pill kind of circles, and in certain influencers in those circles, I've noticed that they never get any heat from the mainstream at all. It's like they're kind of given full license to peddle whatever poison that they peddle.
Yeah.
The people that they go after are people who, you know, present optimistic messages, or who men's right activists who try to change laws, people who actually try to do something. You know, I think that MGTOW, and I'm sure a lot of the guys in it don't realize it, but they are serving the very people that they hate. Because
Yeah.
the biggest FU that you can possibly give to the system is to say, in spite of all your bullshit, I'm gonna find a great girl and I'm gonna have a lot of babies, and fuck you, they're gonna become your enemies when
Yeah.
they're older. Like,
100%.
that's the biggest fuck you that you can say. And instead they're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go kill myself. You know, I'm gonna go figuratively, right? Maybe, you know, but I'm gonna destroy my genetic line.
Yeah.
Like as
Let
if
me
they don't want that, as if that wasn't the whole point to
let
begin
me
with.
let me tag on with this. It is extremely beta to intentionally not reproduce and wipe yourself out of the gene pool. And nothing says alpha like busting a nut in a chick and knocking her up and building a family on purpose, right? Like
Yeah.
the manosphere, let me say this too. The manosphere used to be much more self-improvement focused, and I like that better. It's gotten way too theoretical in recent years because of bad actors like the fraud father.
Yeah.
And not just him, there's more than that too, right? It's a trend to go towards abstraction and this endless theory, and not being out in the field and talking to women and getting better and improving your social skills and reading and improving your sexual skills and like all this stuff. But anyway, you know, back in the day, it was alpha to get laid and it was beta to not get laid. And these guys have totally fucking, it really is, like, objectively speaking, you know, intentionally not getting laid. You can't get laid anyway, these guys. I mean, that's the thing too, is they bitch about these hot girls are all hoes. And it's like, dude, you would suck that woman's toes if you had even 5 seconds to do it at the drop. If you could pay money to do it, you would go suck her toes.
Right.
You're gonna sit there and bitch about this hot hoe who is a fucking super slut, no doubt about it. But you would worship that woman given the opportunity. You know, a lot of them too. Let's talk about this. Red pill hoes, I call them. The manosphere in recent like 1 or 2 years has been invaded by women. It's been invaded. It's been invaded by red pill hoes as it's collided with mainstream. I think because these red pill hoes see all these betas who are like very beta, naive, gullible. They want to be pandered to in a way like a politician would pander to a voting demographic. So these red pill hoes like Real Femme Skankian, Horsha, these are names I make up for them. Just Pearly Things though is a real name for that chick. She has like 1 million subs now. These women are just predators who are just feeding you what you want to hear. And it's pathetic and it's sick and it needs to stop. But anyway, it's kind of a tangent I wanted to throw in there.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'll say two things to that. I mean, on one hand, 100%, it's a money grab on the part of a lot of these women. And I mean, look, you can see this just in the general manosphere and Twitter. When I was first came on Twitter in 2015, there's almost like no women at all. It was like if you saw a random girl who was around there, she was like, you know, she was like weird. Didn't mean that like she was a bad person or anything, you know, maybe you're mutuals, but she was like weird. It was like a weird place for her to be. And then you kind of got to 2018, you know, and there were a scattered number of girls there, but they were really low profile, mostly lurkers. 2019, certainly 2020. I mean, there were so many women who started coming into the space.
Yep.
And, you know, I'll be blunt about it. A lot of them would say the exact same thing, regurgitate exactly what a man would say, but they're going to get 3 to 5 times the engagement.
Yes.
Because
it's sick.
Yeah, it is sick. And I think, you know, this is a black pill statement about men and where men are right now. because even men in the manosphere who are trying, you know, who are really, I think a lot of them truly trying to become more masculine, to get out of the longhouse, you know, to stop being a bitch. Hot girl says something, and you know, sometimes like not even like super hot, you know, just like cute girl something, and
Not even
it's
that
like
sometimes, man.
smash that like button, you know. It's like, and I don't want to be petty about it, but can you imagine, like, can you imagine our grandfathers in this situation? I mean, it really does. And I think in certain cases it gets very annoying to me, because you can tell that the women who are putting this stuff out there, it's not even like they necessarily know what they're talking about. They just are saying stuff that's maybe gonna get attention, and you know, this guy needs to be a super alpha. Men aren't, you know, like, just
Allow me to double down.
women. Talk to women.
They on
Women
they
help.
they not only don't know what they're talking about, they don't even care.
Yeah.
They're just saying what they're pushing, whatever pain buttons or whatever emotional buttons in these guys, or whatever even ideological buttons they want to hear. You know, these hoes ain't loyal. Yeah, she's not yours. It's just your turn. $5 super chat, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They're just pushing buttons to make money. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
These women, they're predators, and they're not like sociopaths in some clinical sense, but they're sociopathic in that they really don't give a fuck. It doesn't matter to them. They're like, look at all these fucking simps. This girl, dude, Just Pearly thinks is a 5. She's a friendly 5 on a good day. I mean, just gross, right? She looks like Shrek's ex-wife, I call her. She's a gross woman. But these dudes simp for her to an astounding degree, and it's like, this is gross. And she doesn't care. She doesn't know anything. She's some 25-year-old bimbo, a friendly 5 bimbo. I mean, it's just like just completely average and mediocre as you could possibly get. And yet she tells these guys what they want to hear, and they fucking eat it up. And then they stay, let me put this too, they stay stuck like a hamster or like a slave in this like pen. One thing that amazes me, I think you'll appreciate this. You had the red pill space in the manosphere, right? Since like 2012 to even now, but you know, especially 2018 before we got quarantined on Reddit. These dudes want to take the red pill, whether it's from Rollo or Tate or anybody, and I like Tate, you know, I don't want to bash him in any way. These dudes think they take the red pill and then they're like free, right? They're free. I took the red pill. Now I'm a red pill alpha male, right? Boom.
Yeah.
What amazes me is that in the movie trilogy that this came from, so you had Matrix 1, 2, and 3, and at the end of the Matrix 2, Matrix Reloaded, it's revealed as another analogy that these guys should pay attention to, that all the people, all these humans in that movie, this series, right, that took the red pill, they took the red pill, they woke up to reality, and now they're freedom fighters. What are they? They're more slaves.
Yeah.
They're slaves in another system of control. Yes. Neo has to figure this out. This is explained to him by the architect in the movie. Then he has to come back to the ship and tell them, like, hey, guys, it's all fucking game. It's all bullshit. They were never freedom fighters. It was all just control. Zion, these freedom fighters, all this stuff. What I try to communicate to these guys and what irritates them to no end, they get really mad at me, right? I mean, these guys go fucking bananas when I expose this or spell this out to them. You take the red pill and you're still a slave. If you think giving some friendly 5 hoe on YouTube, a $5 super chat makes you red pill, you're still a fucking slave. You're as beta as you've ever been. And instead of giving a girl money on OnlyFans, you're doing it on YouTube. Just because she tells you what you want to hear, it's like a stripper. Strippers make money by telling you what you want to hear, by getting in your head, and all they play with you and shit. It's the same exact thing. And the same thing with Rollery, the fraud father. He doesn't free these guys. He takes them from one matrix, one plantation of slaves for feminism and the gynocracy and, you know, being this ultra nice fucking beta male that the culture has conditioned you to be, like a slave, to his little plantation of the Rollo pill. You're no more free than you were as a slave to feminism and to womankind. It's the same exact fucking thing. What I try to do with guys is really wake them up, shove a red pill right up their fucking ass, the size of a pineapple. But they don't want to hear it. They don't want to wake up. They want the illusion of waking up, is I think what the reality is. They want the emotions of waking up. They want to feel good. They want to feel powerful with secret red pill knowledge. And it's like, man, you can have that, but it's a lot darker than you realize. And even the book that The Matrix is based on, Simulation and Simulacra, if I'm saying that right, this is actually what the philosophy covers by this French philosopher. The Matrix is not just some virtual reality. It's literally everything.
Yeah.
So it's way worse than you fucking realize. It's not just some little computer program that you can escape with a little pill and then you're a freedom fighter. It's like you do that and you're still a fucking slave. And when you explain this to these beta males, they just fucking lose it and get really mad at you. So I keep doing it. I'm like, I'm gonna fuck you. Wake up,
Well,
faggot.
you know, if you get 1 out of 100 who
Yeah.
really gets it, that's progress. I mean, we come back to the fundamental point, which is that on a deep spiritual level, most men are they're just they're just not there.
They
That
they wanna wake up. They want to be masculine, but they're not prepared to do what it takes.
right, which isn't fucking easy, which entails risk. It
Yes.
entails risk, it entails pain, it entails a willingness to expose yourself and to do things that are hard because that's what being a fucking man is,
Yep.
especially during hard times.
Yep.
And they feel like they're part of this because because they listen to some videos,
Yeah.
because but it is a control mechanism. It's a place to funnel resentment. That's why they go after individuals who are like yourself, like me, who actively are trying to get men to become men,
Yes.
not simply hear about how women are bad in whatever way. Because let's be fair to women. Women are pretty, women are the way they are. You can make a strong argument because men start to become bitches,
Yep.
and that you can complain about them, but then where was the man? That girl who's on OnlyFans. Well, where was her father?
Yes.
Like,
And her mom and her uncle and her
mother.
grandfather and her
Yeah.
pastor and her principal and her teacher and
It,
the Girl Scout troop.
100%, 100%. And it's not to say like, oh, it was only, sometimes there was a man there, but he was against everybody else. But
Yeah.
there, there's this, like, if this was like a patriarchy, if this was a civilization led by strong men, at a certain point, men had to stop being strong for it to get to this point.
Well, they committed the original sin of listening to women. I mean, as
Yeah.
I understand it, in the Abrahamic religions, especially the Christian or variation of this, Adam's main sin was not listening to the devil or something like that. It was listening to his woman. Like this was the origination of this sin. Like the mistake was between, not commanding her and not leading her, and then actually listening to her at all. Well, that might be a little bit the perfect way to put it, but being manipulated by her and being pulled in. I've
Yeah.
fallen into this myself. This was the Medusa experience in a nutshell.
Yeah. And another part to that Adam story that I've heard, another element of the interpretation, is that then when it came time for accountability, Adam blamed the woman for
Yeah.
it rather than actually take responsibility for it. That
Yeah, and I know that Muslims and Christians don't agree either on accountability. Like, I think the Muslims held them both accountable. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah. I think it also depends on the Christian interpretation and how, but
Yeah.
essentially this is where we're at today. Now, I do want to make a distinguishing point though. Another major reason that there's been lots of women flooding into the manosphere is because women go where the energy goes. Women go where the budding men are. Now there's women who are grifters who just copy platitudes, have shows they don't know fucking anything, but there's a lot of women who are part of what I would call the femisphere, and that's adjacent to the manosphere, but they're not talking to men about like what men should do.
Yeah.
They're talking more about female experiences and things that women, need to change and be aware of. And I think it's very, very healthy.
Yep.
And I think it's a natural accompaniment to the manosphere. And I'm really happy to see it. And I think it's a big indication that we may be the underdogs, but we're gaining momentum because it is a flood of new individuals coming into these communities.
Sure. So I try to embody a lot of what you're saying here. I agree with it with 22 convention and make women great again, which is, a huge fucking splash on the internet in the world when it hit, when I first announced it. And since then, the videos have gotten millions and millions and millions of views. Some of them have over 3 million views individually. Other ones have 1 million, 2 million. I mean, we've been able to reach a lot of women and men with these videos, but it's all talking to women, and it's mostly men, as you know, but even a couple women. And I don't let women talk to men at my events. The really rare exceptions, like I'm really careful about it. But I do facilitate women now talking to women about women's issues, about how to be a woman, about how to have good relationships. And you see that yourself, you know, in the flesh at 22 convention.
100%.
And then I'm trying to get those videos out to young women on the internet. I'm trying to at least give women an alternative. That's something the Manosphere, you know, before Make Women Great Again, was really good at bitching about women. And there's a lot to criticize today. There's a lot of subject matter, as Trump might say. You know, but if you're not going to provide an alternative, you can't bitch. It's like, what else are they going to do? Every millennial and Zoomer chick has been fed a strict diet of feminism, ideologically and philosophically, their entire fucking life. So of course they're all going to be feminists, and they're going to get sucked into trans ideology and BLM and whatever the new current thing is, the new trendy thing, right? What else? They have nothing else to fucking look to, right? Even their churches were all cucked by feminism. Their schools were all cucked by feminism. They grew up on feminism in movies and TV and music. They were completely indoctrinated with feminism, and there's not even an alternative to that, with some rare exceptions like certain religious groups that are a little bit more insulated, like Mormons and stuff. So yeah, Make Women Great Again is this. I love it. I'm really proud of it. It's one of the best things I've ever done in my life, was create that event for women, and that slogan, Make Women Great Again, to give them at least some educational alternative to the absolutely ultra dominant feminist ideology that permeates all of Western culture, all of American culture.
And even if it just makes me think, that's something. Even if it just presents a counterpoint that they never maybe even heard before.
Yeah,
you know.
I think, you know, women should be virgins until they get married, generally speaking. And I'm not a Christian; I'm an atheist. If you're a chick listening to this and you're still a virgin, you're probably not. But if you are, it's really good that you are, and you should probably keep it all the way through marriage, or at least try to get it done on the first guy, like literally the first guy, and then marry him. I just think that's a good way to live your life. And everything that's not that is going to be a degree away from the ideal path in your life. Now, if it's 1 or 2 or 3, whatever, but past 10, you're probably doomed.
Yeah. It's about coming back to treating sex as a sacred thing. You know, I think especially for women, it's important for them to embody that.
Yeah.
One last thing I just kind of wanted to say before we close this out. Really enjoyed the conversation, Anthony. I wish we had longer, actually. So much more we could be touching on. But I've looked at Twitter as this. I know you're not on Twitter anymore.
Of course not.
Of course not. As this cafe culture, and I really wish we had like good anthropologists these days, or sociologists, because exploring the Manosphere would be such a mine of thesis material, right? But of course you don't see any of it. You see like retarded stuff all the time coming out.
Yep.
But Twitter, especially like a few years ago, I really felt like it was like what you had in the salons in France during the era of Louis XIV through Louis XVI, where you had all these ideas discussed that the Enlightenment came out of. But the thing is, at a certain point, the salons stopped being relevant. And they stopped being relevant because at a certain point, you know, you're under a regime and you're talking about things, you're talking about, you know, budding social problems. Then at a certain point, there's a critical stage where then individuals need to take, okay, we've been talking about these principles for a long time. What are we going to do about them now? Now, are we going to actually live out those principles, or are they just theoretical concepts? And I think that the Manosphere is at that point right now.
Yeah.
But this is the big divide. There's people who want to go back 5-10 years ago and they want to have these conversations. It's like, we know this stuff now. The question is, are you going to stand for it in real life? Are you going to be an actor in this? Or are you just going to continue to hide? You know,
obviously, you know, my position is I just build events in real life.
Yeah.
You know, I see a need for a fatherhood event. I built a fatherhood event in the Manosphere, the first one that's ever existed. Full, you know, 100% patriarchy and fatherhood is celebrated. Men
100%.
lead their families 100%. None of this co-equal fucking bullshit. None of this happy wife, happy life bullshit. With an event for women, the Manosphere had nothing. There was no kind of even, you know, mini movement to push women to be more feminine. I was like, okay, I'll fucking do it. Ain't nobody else doing it, so I'll do it. And it's no one else's job to do that. You're a coach, you're not an event organizer. But being in the position I was back then when we started Make Women Great Again, for example, I was like, all right, I'll take the ball and run and do that. So yeah, I'm always building stuff. And then even my personal life, you know, obviously I'm engaged now. My fiance is pregnant. I have a child on the way come July. So I'm building a family. And I'm still at very early stages of that. But I really believe, let me say this for your audience, guys in the manosphere, these fucking gullible betas, just to be bombastic and polarizing, they get preyed on by these frauds. They get preyed on by these red pill hoes telling them what they want to hear, pushing emotional pain buttons, giving them the illusion of freedom and waking up and all this stuff. What they really should be doing, rather than idolizing these fucking fake losers and these red pill fives, they should be lionizing or idolizing in some degree, realistic sense, guys like you, guys like Tanner Guzzi, guys like Michael Foster, right? Guys like Elliot Hulse. Like, dude, you used to bang, Pat, I have no doubt you banged like plenty of hot women and you figured out how to do this. And that's awesome for you. And now you're moving on to the next stage of your life, like I am currently in a little bit earlier stage. This is a really great, successful track model for what you did. Elliot had a different story. He met his wife in high school. They got married very early on and then had 4 kids, right? But he's stuck to that. They've been married for over 20 years now. And he's built this huge, like, you know, business, 7 figures, $1 million plus, right? Michael Foster, 7 fucking kids. Tanner Guzzi, 6 fucking kids. Pardon my French, Tanner, if he's listening. This is successful stuff. Like, all of you have beautiful wives. That's the thing too, is these red pill hoes are gross and disgusting and liars. The manosphere frauds, like the Fraud Father and Condom and Sharp and Fed and Shit and all these fucking guys, they have nothing to show for all the stuff they talk about. Nothing, right? Nothing at all. The Fraud Father wifed up an older post-wall woman and has spent since then 20 years bitching about what? Older post-wall women. This is highly suspect for having a problem in his life, right? That's a fact. His wife is older than him and she was post-wall. And all he does is bitch about for 5 hours at a time on fucking YouTube post-wall women. I've never seen Condom and Sharp wifed up this almost a boomer single mom and lied about it for 6 fucking years, pretending it was her niece. And I have the divorce documents and the bankruptcy documents to prove it, and they're on my fucking channel. Fed and Shit, you know, these younger guys, they're in their 30s, or I guess millennials about my age. One is a former federal agent. He's still a fucking federal agent. So it's a Fed operation down in Miami. But ignoring the Fed operation component, infiltration of the manosphere, these two are losers with women. They always have been, and they still are. They have nothing to show for anything with women. Women do not genuinely love them. They're not good with women. They're not fluent with womanese. Women don't like talking to them. You can see this when they're on camera. They scream at women like children, like little babies. It's like Jerry Springer for fucking Zoomers. This bullshit, right? They don't have any positive relationships with women to show. No marriage, no kids, no nothing. Dude, you knocked up your wife twice. You mixed your soul with hers and made little humans now. Like, good for you, man. That's pretty fucking alpha. This is what dudes should look up to and should lionize in a way. I think it's the best word for it. It doesn't mean everyone has to do that at this exact stage in their life and copy what you did or try to copy what Elliot did, which you can't because he was, 17 when they met or something, or not even Michael Foster, whatever. Like, Tanner's a Mormon. That's like very specific track. But like, generally speaking, if guys watching this, I wish they would look up to men like you and Elliot and Tanner and Michael. You are the alpha males they should look up to, who exemplify masculinity in real life with your actions, not just, hot takes about, she's not yours, it's just your turn for 20 years in a marriage. Like, this is stupid nonsense people believe. Yeah, we were tweeting about that the other day, or you were, and an employee of mine was a disgruntled employee with hot tweets.
I appreciate all that, Anthony, very much. And, it's the same with you. It's the same with you. I don't think that goes without saying. I have to jump off.
Sure.
So let Anthony, where can people find you? I know your team, not you, obviously, but your team is on Twitter at 21 Convention.
Yeah.
Right. And what about where else? YouTube, obviously, where
Yeah.
the empire is 21 Studios.
Over 500,000 subscribers now, which pisses off all the haters too.
Yep. Yep.
So I
So
can list off a few things. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. List them off.
So first thing is go to 21studios.com. That's got everything there, the events, the university, the videos, all kinds of the blog, like all kinds of cool stuff, the announcements. 21studios.com, YouTube, subscribe at 21 Studios. You can go to youtube.com/21. And finally, you can go to the App Store on your phone. If you're an iPhone or Android, search 21 University, download our free app. It's got a free trial. And then it's like a Netflix for men with all of our content, over 600 videos, speeches from the conventions over the years. So lots of really cool stuff. They can go check out all these videos, and it's awesome. And if you want to support it, you can stay after the free trial. It's $20 a month. I appreciate it. And that's how we make more events and more content that reaches millions of men and actually wakes them up and doesn't just lead them into a new slave plantation of fake red pill garbage.
Yeah, and there's one last thing I want to add with all that, which is obviously go to the 21 convention itself.
Yeah.
It's not only just an incredible experience to be able to meet speakers like myself, but it's just this is where you connect with other like-minded guys. There's something so powerful about being there in person. Yep. And nobody puts it on like Anthony. So
thanks.
Anyway, bro, thank you so much for coming on.
Yes, sir.
And we'll speak soon.